every year.
Hey, sorry about that. We're going to record this and I didn't click the button.
No worries.
Continue as
I
you
was
were.
wondering what that was. Okay. Yeah. This year we brought in about $2.8 million in revenue for the fiscal year. We have 13 fully operating divisions, which I'll get into in a second, 8 of which are brick and mortar. And currently we have 265 employees, but that's because about 50 to 60 just graduated. So we normally have around 300 in the middle of the year. Our general corporate structure for the executive team. I'm the CEO. We also have COO, CMO, Chief Human Resource and Diversity Officer, CFO, the Director of IT, and then we have executive presidents that kind of connect between our sales associates and divisional managers and our executive team. So we have that constant communication on what needs to get done, kind of what our procedures are, and what goals we're trying to hit. They're there to connect our executive team to kind of the day-to-day happenings at every division. And finally, for me, just to touch on all of our divisions. Like I said, 8 are brick and mortar. Going down the list, Arch Street Cafe is a sandwich and lunch and dinner option within the neighborhood. We have Heritage Coffee House, The Blend, and The Blend Express, which are coffee stops on the middle of campus. We have The Chill, which is a smoothie and protein shake option within the rec. Flyby, which is with breakfast, lunch option with mainly bagel sandwiches. And then we have Stewart's Landing, which is a convenience-esque store within one of the residence halls. So that's like the one-stop shop for anything you need for freshmen in their residence hall. And then going down the list, we have FE Digital, FEIT, Rudy's Runway, which are our e-commerce stores, our graphic design, marketing agencies, and those are all based out of our FE office. And finally, Brown Street Bistro is in a hall down the road from campus that serves lunch and breakfast options. To that hall. And now that's a little bit about FE, what we do, and who we are. And I'm going to pass it over to Luke to kind of talk about AI and all that we're doing with that.
Awesome. So I added some transitions in there to make it look cool. So I oversee FEIT, which is both data analytics and AI. But obviously, we're going to be talking a lot about AI today, which I'm excited. We started this division around like 3 months ago. So we're really just starting it up and learning a lot, constantly learning. But yeah, so if we kind of want to get started here and talk about like why we found a need for AI. There you go. So really, with our generation, we see college kids really have a good understanding of AI and knowledge, and are using it with a higher education. They're using it like the students that have a higher education are using it. They're using it like 25% daily, and so we're really trying to get a good understanding of AI and really utilize their skills and how harness that potential to be able to use it, in the workforce, and especially being students, being able to use it in student-run business. Along with that, 42% of small businesses have invested in AI technology. So we really want to get ahead of this curve to really start something. It might be small in the beginning, but I really believe in the next 5 to 10 years, AI is going to grow and we're going to be using it a lot more. So really 42% of small businesses have invested and 68% of workers are actively using AI tools. So really trying to get ahead of that curve and create this division as it grows and AI grows our business, making it more efficient. So when we look into like our projects and what we're kind of starting it up with, the first project we have is we're going to be tracking suppliers. So how this works is our product managers receive products from the suppliers. And when they do this, they're going to fill out a form that just answers some basic questions talking about how the supplier performed. So were they on time? Were there any damaged products? Were there any late products? And this will automatically go into a live dashboard that will give us a lot of feedback on all of our. We have like 12 to 15 different suppliers that we're going to be tracking. And so when we further down the road, when we go and renegotiate contracts, we're able to kind of collect this data and look at this data that our product managers are filling out. And then look at the dashboard that the AI is taken from this form and automatically sent to the dashboard. Along with that, we're going to be supporting our e-commerce store. So our e-commerce store is just, it's called Rudy's Runway. It just sells some Dayton merch. And so we're going to be supporting them. The first thing we want to do is integrate a chat bot. What this would do is just answer any really fundamental, basic questions that you might have within the e-commerce store, and any questions that might prevent someone from moving forward with that sale. Along with that, we want to have text message marketing. So what this would look like is if somebody puts their information in to proceed with buying, but then they leave something in the cart, this trigger would then send them a text message through ChatGPT, and then send it back to the trigger of them leaving something in the cart would then trigger our AI, then would go through ChatGPT and send it back to them being like, hey, you left something in the cart. Like, how come you left something in the cart? And we're trying to really pick up a lot of those sales. It's one thing to get a lot of people on your website, but it's another thing to kind of get them to move forward with the sales and buy. And so that's something we're really trying to do, is boost our turnover rate by over 4%. And then also the last thing we're doing, which we're really currently working on with e-commerce store, is strategically targeting our key audience members. With the summer coming around and you're going into a new school year, we have a lot of incoming freshmen that don't have any merchandise before. So we're trying to target them. We're trying to target alumni, and we're trying to target parents as well. And then our last project that we're going to be working on is chatbots for divisions. So we really plan to develop a chatbot for each of our brick and mortar divisions. What this would look like is, it would be, whether it's a phone number or through GroupMe, you would ask it a basic fundamental question, and it would take that question and go directly to our database where we store all of our information for that division. And then it would go back through ChatGPT and send it back out to the person that sent the text message, replying to that question. So all this is taking is from a database that we're storing. It's not taking any external sources. It's all internal. What this would do was really streamline efficiency, and it would prevent you from having to text your managers, having to text your presidents if you have a quick questions like, hey, where is this in the back? How do I make this smoothie? How do I make this coffee? And really enhance efficiency. And that's kind of the whole goal with AI, is to be more efficient and really save time and try to get to our end goal quicker. That's really, how do we do that? And through AI. And so our next thing I'm going to want to talk about is kind of the tools that we're using to kind of do some of these projects. So the first thing we're doing is with ChatGPT 4o Mini. So when I was talking about going through that AI, this is the actual AI type that we're using. Why are we using this? It's cheaper. It's not as big as the other ChatGPTs. It's more affordable. We're just taking stuff from our resources, so we don't need any external or anything big right now. And then we're using NAN, which is the AI workflow automation tool. I like to kind of call this like the hug. It brings everything together. So when I was mentioning earlier about how when somebody leaves something in the cart, that's kind of the trigger. That's what NAN is triggering. And then it's then sending you to that our database, and then going through ChatGPT. So that's kind of what NAN does, is kind of connect all those pieces. And you can connect your email, you can connect your calendar, you can connect a lot of different tools to NAN. So we're really excited to look more into that and maybe do something further down the road with NAN as well. And then SSS, which is Sweeney Strategic Solutions, is really our customization and front end. So this is how we make our chatbots our own. This is how we, specify it to Flyer Enterprises, make it, kind of say what we want. And this is also where we see what people are saying. So if people are constantly asking the same question over and over again, then, maybe the managers need to do a better job of going over that. So this is where we see everything, and this is where we can customize it and really make it our own. And so I know that was a lot, but this is kind of early stages of our new division, which we're really excited about. And so we're hoping to grow, especially within the 5 to 10 next years. Seeing where this AI division can go with all the new technology coming out. So we're really excited, and we're really trying to get ahead of that curve, starting up these new projects and new tools, and we're constantly learning as well. So those are our emails and our Instagram up there with any questions. And yeah, I'd be happy to answer any questions. So.
That was awesome. Thank you so much. I can start off with like kind of a first question I have for you all, and then we kind of opened up. But you guys mentioned that this division started 3 months ago. So in terms of, for example, I'm at PSA earlier, like 2 months ago, and we haven't started AI integrating it at all. So what do you suggest for an SMBO that has very limited foundation with AI and kind of the first step to do so?
Yeah, I would say definitely research and plan. For me, we're really lucky. One of our AI managers has a really big understanding of AI and a lot of the tools and weapons that we can use. But I would look into, there's so many different routes, different programs, different ways to use AI. And so I would definitely 100% research and kind of figure out, what path you want to go to. And also, what part of your business do you want to use AI? With HR, with marketing, there's so many different ways. But I just be careful to kind of narrowing that down to figure out, what path you want to take and what tools you're really going to use. So definitely plan and prepare. So, does that answer your question?
Yeah, that's awesome.
Awesome.
Thank you. I'm trying to think what's the best way if people have questions to add them to the stage. Oh, it's a little different. I apologize. If anyone, maybe if you like raise your hand, like I can see you on like camera, so I can add you to the stage.
So-
Maybe that's like
Sorry.
easier.
Yeah, guys, you can raise your hand. There's also there's a chat box if you prefer to use that. You can post a comment and it'll show up here, and we can reply that way or loop in. So whatever you feel comfortable with. I can ask a question real quick to you guys. First of all, I think that was fantastic. I mean, you're really going, as far as I'm concerned, above and beyond. I think that you found some really excellent use cases. I think Ria's last question, I mean, I'm curious as to what has been the most, you covered a lot of ground and I got distracted just for a moment, but what would you consider to be the most impactful use case that you guys have implemented so far?
That's a great question. I think really right now, one of our biggest cases that we're working on is really supporting our e-commerce store, and we're kind of revamping that, and so we're really helping with that. But something we've been able to do, just actually implement just a few weeks ago, was we were able to kind of put in an area where people can put in information. And then right now we're in the works of making kind of workflows with their information. So we're able to say, like, if someone's like I said, leave something in the cart. If someone does this, if someone does that, there's so many different workflows that you could make, dependent on that user, that you could do, like send them an email or send them a text message that we set up, and then we're done. That automatically does that. I think that's really one of the coolest things that we're working on right now with the e-commerce store. That really it's gone untouched, and I think it's gonna just really help our turnover rate and really grow a lot of our revenue. So that would probably be the coolest thing.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I definitely would love to do a follow-up. Okay, so anybody else want to hop on stage, ask a question? Or you can also, if you've got use cases that you'd like to share, I think we'd love to hear them. Ria can.
I had a quick question. When you're trying to implement the chatbots, do you implement them by coding them, or let's say for your e-commerce site, do you use a specific software like Shopify that allows for these chatbots to, like answer questions for your customers?
Great question. So we use the NAN is really how we use to store all of our information. And so what we would do is we would take all of our information and then put it into ChatGPT, and that says like code this for NAN, and it takes it and puts all that information into one of the workflows within NAN. And so what this would do is basically it just stores all that into a database into like a certain area in the automation. And so what this would do when somebody sends that text, it would go to that database that you stored all that information in. So it's answering from that. And then it goes out outside of the database and sends them a text message back. So to answer your question, we're not like coding or anything like any of those means. We're able to just put it through a workflow. And then how we kind of connect it and make it usable is through SSS. It's kind of how we customize it to how we want it to look and how we want it set up. So does that answer your question?
Yeah, gotcha.
Awesome.
I'm just more familiar with backends like Supabase, so just like kind of was wondering, but thank you.
And there's definitely, to reiterate on that, there's definitely a ton of different ways to do it, to go about it. And there's definitely more complex ways. Ours is kind of, I don't want to say base level, but it's the simpler version because we're we don't have like a ton. We're not outsourcing anything. We're not doing anything external. It's all internal. So whatever we put in is what's going to come out. And if they ask a question that our database doesn't know, it will tell it doesn't know. So
gotcha. Thank you.
Could you, Luke? So you said SSS.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is actually.
So it's SSS Sweeney Strategic Solutions. It's my AI manager is part of this company. So we're able to use it. And they are, if you look up Sweeney Strategic Solutions, it should come up. And it's something that he was able to build and kind of leverage. And now he has his own company to really customize our workflows and everything like that. So
look at that. Nice.
Gotcha.
Okay, so I think I found it, SweeneyStrategicSolutions.com. If other people were curious as to what that was. Awesome.
Cool.
Anybody else I can pull you up on stage if you had a question under this category? And then Ria, I don't know if you had some questions for discussion, but I would love to hear what other people are doing. I'm also kind of curious if, I think there's such a big spectrum of where you can go with AI right now, from personally figuring out how to actually make use of it every day. And I imagine sometimes that's challenging because I think the schools can either be more or less supportive with it, or encouraging you to use it more, use it less. I don't know. I think that's probably a pretty complicated landscape and a patchwork. But it's like such a spectrum from like, hey, I'm starting to figure out how to use it personally. I'm starting to use it regularly. I'm starting to get really good at it, to figuring out how to just get the team to use it, to like make themselves more productive, all the way to what we're seeing, I think, on the far end of the spectrum with the Flyer enterprises, which is where they're starting to really make it an operational utility. Baking it into the way that the companies operate. So I'm interested in hearing where people are myself, but do you have some questions that you want to use for discussion?
Yeah, but that's a great kind of segue. I'd love to know, I think Flyer did such a great job showing us what they were doing with AI. It's really eye-opening from a position of someone who hasn't really delved into it that much. So if anyone wants to share kind of what their SRBO is working on, even if it is that you aren't, I think that's also really helpful to learn. I can speak for myself with this. It was definitely I learned a lot.
Anybody want to hop on? Okay, we've got Mariana. I'd love to hear, sorry, I'm not picking on you, Frankie, but I'd love to hear what you guys have been up to at HSA, if you've made any headway too at some point. Mariana, what's up?
Yes. Thank you so much. Really enjoyed the presentation. So from Loyola Enterprises, we just changed our business structure. So we're all new at this role. So we'll just like entering into this enterprises. We're very excited and we're very looking forward to work with all of you and learn from all of your experiences. For now, I'm the HR manager for the enterprises. So I've been trying or working this last month that I've been on the role, just like trying to make more effective the hour tracking system. So before they were using just like sending PDFs every 2 weeks. to record what they were doing. But then I created like this whole connection between a Google form and then just like an Excel spreadsheet using some formulas that I found through ChatGPT that basically just like separates and like make individual spreadsheets for each employee, so that way it is easier for our like managers to keep track of the hours and the description of each shift. So that's what we've been working on. I'm currently training myself with some AI faculty members here at Loyola because they created a new minor in AI here at the university. So I've been reaching out to professors to see how we can just like improve from the HR manager side of things, because I believe it's an area that it's often like overlooked, and like in the way of how AI could contribute to it being more effective. So if you have any ideas, if you've been doing anything from that like area, I would be more than happy to listen. Thank you so much.
You guys have any response to that? I think like what was cool is just to hear, as I understood it, Mariana's like, hey, I had this specific problem, and like I was able to use AI to kind of spin up a solution to it. And once again, I get a little like multitasking here, but if you guys have any response that you want to use or share, I think Connor might have something.
I'm not exactly sure if this kind of covers what your problem was, but when it comes to staffing, Luke can kind of touch on the areas that I miss. But we've kind of tried to work with AI to kind of put all of our people's Google calendars together, and use an AI source to kind of create a schedule for our semesters to save our HRs hours and hours of like manually scheduling. Just similar to some of those apps like When to Work, we wanted to create our own so we didn't have to kind of make that purchase. And if we want, it would be a better experiential learning opportunity for people to learn how to utilize AI for something like that. So I'm not exactly sure if that covers what you were talking about, but that sounded like a problem that you guys were having that we're also having. At any division, our HR managers are spending 20 to 25 hours to put a schedule together for the semester with, I don't know, you got 50 different people's class schedules and club schedules and just different variables. So utilizing AI is something we are trying to get into, a project that we want to get into, to where you just spend an hour, put some people's calendars into a spreadsheet and get something spit out that is pretty much ready to go. So
to add on to that, we have been looking a lot to figure out ways that we could speed this up and make it more efficient. And we worked with the computer science capstone group, who was able to try to program something that, like what Connor said, where you input information and it comes out with an optimal schedule. But it's not finished yet, and there's still some works to be done with that. And I don't know. I think they were coding with Python, and a lot of different tools that they use. I'm not sure exactly if they used AI or not. But we're also looking to try to see if there's a resource out there that is directly AI to able to, implement, like what Connor said, different like classes and different clubs going on. But right now we do not. We can't find anything right now, but I'm sure that they will come out soon.
I just want to note for folks that are like getting in, or something for discussion here, is to me, sometimes there are these incredibly well structured systems and like what I would call, they're providing a layer on top of the AI. So like Luke mentioned, they're using largely, I think you said O4 many, right? Which is the newest model from GPT. From OpenAI, as opposed to 4.0, which is like one of the aging out models. So anyway, like on top of that, like basic chat model, they're building different applications and tools that are structured and helpful for specific use cases. However, a lot of those, you just don't really need that application layer to make a lot of progress. I mean, I've found that just by getting way more structured with everything that I do, pretty much putting everything in spreadsheets, having it extremely well, um, having the data like extremely well organized, clear titles and sections and all that. And in this case, I can imagine that you may not need an application for scheduling. And I think that's kind of what you were saying. But instead, you can just take a really well structured set of data and feed that into the AI, and it's going to do better than probably dealing with some software or other application would, and giving you a useful response. And I can totally see that cutting down 25 to 1 the amount of hours that you would have to spend on a project like this. Seems perfect for that use case. So that might not be anything new, but maybe it helps some people that were trying to think through it. Does that sound fair? Yeah. Anybody else want to hop in, join the discussion here? Frankie, cool, gotcha.
Hi. So HSA hasn't really been too deep into AI. It's kind of just an area that we haven't dabbled in. I think it's almost because it's like a scary area, especially if you don't have students that are really, I guess, technologically savvy. So I can mention a few things that we've done that somewhat integrate AI. So the first thing that comes to mind, the Harvard Shop is integrating software called Syn7, which is like an inventory management platform. And it uses like AI automation in order to create invoices and to track where certain products are within our 3 brick and mortar locations, and then our basement inventory, which is our main inventory. And then we also have an offsite inventory system or inventory warehouse. So it somewhat integrates AI to create invoices and make sure that things are paid on time and track when the invoices need to be paid. But also, it also tracks like when products are low on stock, and therefore it will automatically order them to come to the office or come to our warehouse or wherever. So that's something that we've dabbled in so far. Another area that we're kind of stepping into is like AI and customer communications. So for things like our tours, it's really difficult or I guess it's almost tedious to try to explain to somebody something that is just simple information they can get off of the website. So integrating in like a chatbot onto our website for the tours to be like, this is when the tour time starts, or these are our tour times, these are the dates that we don't run any tours, this is the tour location. And then having that for both Harvard and MIT, because we run tours for both universities, that would probably be very helpful. So I guess any insight into how to integrate like chatbot communications with customers. And then this last thing, which we haven't even looked at all, but I just thought of it now, was we could probably use AI to automate our onboarding and offboarding systems. So onboarding is solely done by our chief people officers. And so they'll sit down with whoever has been hired and go through the process one at a time. Can you give us your passport, your social security, first name, last name, and all the information? And then we almost do that as a safety because it's easier for them to not make a mistake than us try to dabble in something that is almost too crucial. And if there is a mistake, it's a big issue. And then also using that in offboarding, because every year we have 100% turnover, it's very easy for our payroll systems to get clogged with people that haven't worked here in a few years. So I'm curious to know if you have any suggestions as to how we could integrate AI to do the offboarding, or to like how to track the different people that haven't been working here for a while. Sorry, I know that was a lot.
That's a great question. The one thing I would say when you said like using like driver's license, passports, the one thing I would be careful in that like Flyer Enterprises has to be careful too is when you're dealing with AI and you're kind of dealing with data and information, you got to be careful kind of where you're putting that, and especially with passports and driver's license and stuff, that's obviously valuable information. So I would be really careful with how you go about that. I really don't know the path that you'd want to take with that directly. Off the top of my head, I mean, the only thing that I would think of is like creating like a program where you put something in and it fills this out. Like you put in your information, it automatically reads that and fills that out for you. But I don't know. I can't really expand on that, to be honest. The one thing I would say is just like with onboarding and everything, when you're using a lot of information, that's really important, is to kind of be careful where you're going with that. But and then as for, can you elaborate? You said it with a chatbot with tours. What would kind of like the need for that be? Like what would
Yeah, so I mean, we have about 6 student managers that work with the tours, but we run a ton of tours and they run every day, except for certain days when the yards are closed. So I think just communicating with guests, especially because we sell our tours through our website itself. We also sell tours through like online travel agents. So it gets very confusing for people if they're trying to communicate with the online travel agents and get their information there about like when their tour is, if they've forgotten or if they've lost their ticket, or if they're going to our website. So I think having a system in our website where you could look up your tour, or like, hey, this is my my invoice number or my order number. When is my tour? Where does it start? How do I get there? This is where I am. So I think having like an AI chatbot that has even automated responses for the most common questions would probably be pretty helpful.
100%. That is something that we're really working on right now with our e-commerce business, and something that answering fundamental questions. Like I said, with using NAN, you're able to kind of take all this information and put it into like I said, like a database. The only thing that I'm unsure on is like with looking up specific tours and something specific to you, because obviously that wouldn't be in the broad database. But definitely you could do like answering fundamental questions on like when tour times run, like how long is a tour, stuff like that. You could definitely integrate, and I feel like it wouldn't be too difficult. But I'm unsure on the specific invoices and the specific tours.
Yeah, I think that's probably a good place to start. And then afterwards, if we get comfortable with that, looking into how to integrate into the booking platform, which is called Bokun. So yeah, thank you.
One thing, just there's a lot there. Just a couple comments from me, Frankie. One was like I thought it was interesting. So you've got a lot of data from people that have been on the team, maybe moved on. This may not work for that exact use case, but I have found a lot of success in uploading up to, probably like 10,000 cells worth of data at a time. So maybe like 5,000 rows of data, uploading that into one of the models and having it help like analyze it for trends or phenomena, or like, for example, maybe so it depends on how you have the data structured for them. But again, like, the more organized that we get, or the more that we're able to just get data into like an organized format, then it's like you're one step away from having like really super helpful analyses and like a list of, what are the obvious things that I need to fix. Or in this case, like, are there any clearly folks that need to be cleaned up or taken off of the system or things like that. Anyway, I found that to be super helpful. A second thing is I had stumbled into there's some applications like Adio, I think it's called, but it's where even on your website, you can bake in a helpful AI chatbot. And you can train them, similar to what Luke was saying, you can train them on a basic set of data, and then they'll be able to help folks with questions and answers. And they'll blend together like a structured one where it's like you list out the questions that it asks and the possible answers, and it could blend that with like AI where it's taking its best guess and you have like a disclaimer. I'm not sure. I really dug in on that like a year ago. I haven't checked in.
What is the system called?
I believe that was called Adio, ADD. I'm checking because I had it on my AD. I'm not seeing it right now, so I'll just post a note when we share this and I'll find it.
Okay.
But I thought it was ADDIO. Yeah, anyway, there are definitely a few useful ones. You can find them with a Google search or by using the GPT search. I think that we're running out of time, so I want to see if Ria wants to like ask anything. I do personally just want to note that we, I think I tried adding Ria up here, but oh, there you are. Personally want to note that, you know, one thing that SRBA has invested time into is using AI to develop tools to help SRB members with onboarding and upskilling teammates. We did this because we really wanted to cut the cost for improving the quality of learning that happens for all employees in an SRB program, as well as making it easier to turn a business that's not an SRB into one for a lot of the schools that are trying to join and get something off the ground, but it's like super expensive to do that. Anyway, that's our badging programs. And we just started sending some emails out for the pilot program that we're going to implement today. So you'll see information about that over the next couple of weeks, but I'll probably reach out to a couple of you directly to see if, you know, you'd like to chat about it. Love to talk about it and get your input on it, Luke, for example. And of course, Connor, be in touch with you guys. But anyway, something to note there that I'm really excited about. 500 times faster we were able to make content than what we were able to do like 2 or 3 years ago. It's really crazy. It's such a huge change. And my car, we never get to drive anymore. It's all right. Ria, you take over.
No, awesome. Okay, thank you guys so much for being so interactive and engaging with both the presentation, as well as thank you to our presenters. Really fascinating. I'm going to share my screen this time, hopefully successfully. Oh, perfect. Okay. So I'm just going to go through the resources that the SRBA has to those that are new here. So if you haven't already, join our Slack community. It's really great to engage with leadership and continue the conversations that we had going on from today. Also, if you haven't already, fill out our member data form that helps you stay on top of all the programming we're offering, such as these roundtables, but also more to come. So stay in the loop. And then our mailing list as well. We have monthly newsletters and a recap of what's going on across the country. So really great stuff. I'll send this out so you can actually click the links. Even though today was on AI, I think the most technologically savvy thing I've done today was animate those little GIFs. So this was really great to learn a lot. And then staying in contact, that's my phone number, email. Please follow us on Instagram if you haven't already. And then check out our website as well for all the great resources that Owen was talking about. So awesome. I think that it's 7 o'clock, so I'm going to let you guys all go. But as always, we're here, resources, and it was great to see you all.
Keep the conversation going on Slack, guys. If you have any questions, you can do DMs, but you can also use the group chats areas too. All right. Thank you so much, Ria. Thanks, everybody. See you later. We'll see you at the next one.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.